Hello students, in this session we will be starting chapter 9 of your business studies, and the name of this chapter is internal trade. Now by the name you can understand that internal means which is inside and inside of the country. So internal trade is nothing but the function or the activity of trading that takes place inside the country. Now when we talk about trade is nothing but selling and buying of goods, okay, with the motive of earning profit. Now let us see why this chapter is important. Now trading activities, it involves buying and selling of finished products. You cannot buy and means you are allowed to buy and sell raw materials, but that will not considered as trading. Trading activities only involves buying and selling of only finished products. Now this chapter deals with various aspects, means various characteristics or various angle we will see of internal or domestic trade. It will talk about retail trade, wholesale trade, etc. Now through this chapter you will be able to learn what is retail trade, what is wholesale trade. Every now and then you might have come across these terms, but in this chapter we will discuss in detail about this. Now let us see the chapter. It has been accepted that flourishing trade is essential for economic growth of the country. We can say that the economy of a country is growing when the trade in that particular country is increasing. Trade, as we know, is the purchase and sale of goods for profit motive. Now if in exam they ask question for 1 mark, what is trade, then you can say the purchase and sale of goods for profit motive is nothing but trade. It requires transfer or exchange of goods and services. Now transfer means nothing but transfer of goods or services from the seller to the buyer, or exchange of goods from one party to other party. As we all know, our wants are unlimited. They are recurring, that means repetitive in nature, and multiplying day by day. Suppose if you want 10 rupees today, then who knows that tomorrow or day after tomorrow you might need 20 or 30 rupees. That means it is increasing day by day. Earlier we used to purchase lot of things with 500 rupees, or even we can buy lots of vegetables with 100 rupees, but these days it's very costly, and we to buy that particular amount of vegetables we need a lot more than 100 rupees these days. Now as well as when our standard of living increases, our expenses also, or our wants also increases. Now in order to satisfy our wants, there must be regular and smooth supply of goods and services. Only if there is good amount of supply of goods and services, at that time we can be able to satisfy our needs. Now it is possible if there is sound and effective channel of distribution of goods and services in the country. Now effective channel of distribution is nothing but all the middlemen that are included in the supply of goods from the producer to the consumer. Sorry. Now let us see what is the meaning of internal, home, or domestic trade. All of them, they are same, but they have different names. Now purchase and sale of goods within the country means within the geographical boundary of a country. If purchase and sale of goods take place, then it is known as trade with profit motive. It will be known as internal, home, or domestic trade. Certain important features of internal trade are, let us see. Now purchase and sale of goods, we know it will take place within the country in internal trade. Then payment for goods and services is made in national currency. Now India's national currency is rupees, so internal trade will be those trade in which the payment is made in rupees. Then generally there are no restrictions in the movement of commodities. Now within the country, movement of goods from one state to another, there is no restrictions. Okay. Then the last characteristic is, in case of any dispute means if there is any misunderstanding or miscommunication between the buyer and seller, at that time what they have to do is that they have to go according to the Sales of Goods Act. Now Sales of Goods Act is nothing but it contains all the rules and regulations which every buyer and seller should follow while trading goods and services. Now let us see what are the different types or classification of internal trade. The first one is direct sale or trade, and the second one is indirect sale or trade. Now let us see first what is meant by direct trade. Sales by manufacturer or producers of goods direct to the consumer is known as direct trade. Means the finished goods will be directly sold by the manufacturer or producers to the consumer. Now here consumer means those person who used to purchase goods for their own consumption and not for further resale. Okay, they are known as consumers. This practice eliminates the unwanted corrupt channel of intermediaries such as wholesalers and retailers. Since in direct trade, the manufacturers or producers, they sell directly to the consumers, they don't need wholesalers and retailers. Direct selling has assumed very much significance in the modern business all over the world. Every manufacturer has been trying to sell goods direct to the consumers so as to enjoy the profit at the production stage and also at the selling stage. Now means since there is no intermediaries like wholesalers and retailers in between, it is beneficial for the producer because they will get direct more profit. They don't have to give commission to the wholesaler and to retailer. They can directly earn profit, and it will be more as compared to other as compared to indirect sale or trade. Now let us see what are the advantages of direct trade. First one is availability of original goods. Now when you purchase any good from directly from the producer, they will give you original goods. But if there is any intermediaries like wholesaler or retailer, they might tamper the goods and you might not get the original product. The next is elimination of hoarding by wholesalers. Now sometimes what wholesalers they do is that they purchase in bulk from the producer. They don't sell it to the retailers or in the market. They keep those goods with themselves so that there is scarcity in the market, and later on the wholesalers they can sell at higher price. Now this is known as hoarding by wholesalers. But in case of direct selling, since there are no wholesalers, so there is no chance of scarcity of goods. Then the third one is availability of goods at reasonable price. Since there is no wholesaler or retailer or any other middleman, the product will cost you less as compared to indirect trade, because at that time the producer they have to include commission of agents, then wholesalers in the MRP, and that leads to increase in the MRP. But if there is no intermediaries, then MRP will be less and you can purchase at cheaper rate. The next one is earning profit by manufacturers at both the stages of production and sale. Obviously while production, manufacturer they will purchase raw materials from their suppliers. So if they don't have any intermediaries while purchasing raw materials, they have to spend less in their production. As well as if they don't have intermediaries or wholesalers while selling their own goods, they don't have to charge higher rate of MRP. They don't have to give commission to the agents or middlemen, so they will earn profit while selling as well. So it is beneficial from both the sides. Then next one is attraction of cash sales. Manufacturers enjoy cash sales because in case of direct selling, payment is received then and there. And since the consumer they are purchasing at a cheaper rate and directly from the producer, so they used to make cash payment instantly. So it attracts cash sales by manufacturers. Then the next type of internal trade is indirect trade. Now in case of indirect selling, the following channel of distribution of goods is adopted. Now this is the channel of distribution of goods. Now first one is producer or manufacturer of goods. They will produce the goods, then they will give it to the middleman. They will sell it to the wholesaler or agent, then the wholesaler and agent they will again sell it to the retailers, and finally the retailers will sell it to the customers or consumers. Now here is one homework for you. You have to explain or you have to find out what is the difference between customers and consumers. Now next, it appears from the above channel of distribution that manufacturers and producers of goods in general sell their goods to wholesalers, who sell their goods to the retailers. Now they pass the goods to consumers and customers. Now sometimes manufacturer, instead of selling goods to wholesaler, appoint agents or consign goods to the agents, who are required to sell goods to the consumers on behalf on account and at risk of the consignor upon payment of commission. These agents are known as consignee. Now when the manufacturer they appoint agents for selling their goods, those agents will known as consignee. Now these were the two types of internal trade. Now let us see what is meant by wholesale trade. Wholesale trade is purchase and sale of goods in large scale with profit motive as an intermediary between manufacturer and producers and retailers. Now wholesale trade is nothing but they will purchase and sell goods in huge quantity, in bulk quantity. Their intention will be to earn profit, and they will be bridging gap between manufacturer or producer and retailers. They will come in between these two parties. The wholesale dealer purchases goods in huge quantity from the producer and manufacturer of goods and sells in small quantities to the retailers of the business. Now our wants are unlimited, as we all know, recurring, various and varied, so it is impossible for us to produce all the commodities we need. On the other hand, modern enterprises has assumed large size using mechanization and specialization and producing very large quantities of goods. It is very difficult for a large-sized enterprise to attend the individual customers. Now, since every distinct customer they have various needs, my needs will be different from your needs, and your needs will be different from some other people's needs. So it is not possible for a single organization to satisfy each and everyone's need. So what they do is that they used to target particular section of the market. Means if they are planning to focus on kids, they will produce all the goods which are needed by the kids. They want someone to purchase their goods in bulk and spare them for devoting their time in production. Now when they don't undertake the work of selling goods on their own, they can spend more time in their production, and instead of selling to an individual customer, what they will do is that they will sell it to the wholesalers. On the other hand, retailers are not capable enough to purchase goods from producers in huge quantity, and we all know that retailers are no one but small shop owners who used to purchase from the producer or wholesalers and sell in small quantity to the consumers. Now for retailers, it is not possible for buy a particular same product in huge quantity, because if there is no demand, then it will be waste of investment for him as well. Retailers want someone to sell them in smaller quantities as per their requirements. Now retailers, what they look is that they want someone who can sell them in smaller quantities as per their needs. As a remedy to solve the problems and meet the requirements of producers and retailers, wholesalers emerged as a channel of distribution. Now, producer they can't sell in small quantity, retailers they can't purchase in huge quantity. So in order to resolve this conflict, wholesalers comes to the rescue. Now, according to Manson and Roth, a person or firm that buys merchandise and resells it either to retailers for subsequent resale, means retailers next they will sell it to other consumers, or business firms for industrial and business use, is called wholesaler. Now wholesaler is no one but who purchases goods in bulk quantities from the producer and sell to the retailer. Okay, they are known as wholesaler. Now let us see what are the characteristics of wholesaler. They purchase and sell goods in huge quantities. We know that they generally deal in one commodity. They don't focus on variety of goods. They used to deal in one commodity only. They are financially sound. Since they are going to purchase in huge quantity, they are financially sound people. They accord credit facilities to retailers, means they voluntarily give credit facilities to retailers, means they make credit sales to their retailers. Then wholesaler provides sometimes financial assistance to producers and retailers, means if any producer finds shortage of money, then wholesaler sometimes they used to give financial assistance to the producer and as well as to the retailers. Their margin of profit is low. Then they sell their goods through agents and brokers. Now sometimes wholesalers they can directly sell to the retailers, but some wholesaler, big wholesalers, what they do is that they hire agents and brokers to sell their goods. Then the next one is wholesaler advertise their commodities, means they just don't sell their goods but they advertise about their commodities as well. They will promote their goods to the prospective buyers. Now let us see what are the functions of wholesaler. Now first function is buying and selling in bulk. They don't deal in 1 or 2 units of goods. They used to deal in huge quantity of goods. The wholesaler purchases goods in huge quantity from manufacturers and sells to retailers in larger quantities. Bulk buying and selling is their main function. Now if you come across any question like what is the main function of a wholesaler, then it is nothing but bulk buying and selling. Then the next one is warehousing goods. Warehousing goods is nothing but storing of goods. The wholesalers make bulk buying of goods, so they have to store it in their big godowns. They will usually have big godowns in which they will store their goods after purchasing from the producer until and unless it is sold. The flow of purchases continues regularly, so the wholesaler has to arrange big warehouses for storing goods. The next function is distribution of goods. After storing the goods into their godowns, what they do is that they distribute or they sell goods to the retailers as per the requirement of retailers. The retailers are scattered in the locality and they mainly depend upon wholesaler for goods to be sold to consumers. Then the next function is financing the production and marketing of goods. The wholesaler sometimes they advance funds to the producers for the production of goods for him. He also advertises the goods and benefit also goes to the manufacturers and retailers, as we have already seen in the previous topic. That is characteristic of wholesaler. Sometimes they provide financial assistance to the producer as well as to the retailer, plus they advertise their product as well. Then the next one is transportation of goods. The wholesaler makes arrangement for the transportation of goods. Means if suppose a retailer is located in a far place, then it is up to the wholesaler. He will make all the facilities to transport goods from his godown to the place of retailer. Then next is stabilizing the price of goods. The wholesaler maintains regular supply of goods as per demand in the market, and that is why if there is scarcity in the market, then the price of that particular product will rise. As I hope you have already learned in economy about demand and supply. If there is no supply in the market, then the demand will go up, and as usual the price of that particular product will go up as well. But if there is regular supply of goods in the market, then there will be no hike in price and it will stabilize the price as well, because the wholesaler they are regularly supplying goods to the market. Now these were all the functions that are supposed to be done by wholesalers. Now let us see what are the services that a wholesaler provide. Now wholesaler services are divided into 3 parts. First part is towards producer or manufacturer, second part is towards their consumers, and the third one is towards their retailers. Now first let us see what are the services that a wholesaler provide towards its producers and manufacturers. Now first one is working as middleman. As we all know that wholesaler is a middleman between producer and the retailer. The wholesaler works as middleman between the producer and retailers. As such, he helps in the transfer of goods from producer to retailers. Now if there is retailer, and then there will be obviously one wholesaler, so he is the middleman between a producer and the retailer. The next is economic assistance. Sometimes we have already seen that wholesaler provide financial assistance to the producer by advancing loans and advance payment for goods. Then next one is storing facilities, as we have already seen in the functions of wholesaler, that warehousing goods is nothing but storing facilities. Wholesaler they purchase goods in huge quantities and they store it in their godown, so the producers need not worry much for the storage. They also store large quantities of raw material and sell to the producers as per their requirements. It means sometimes wholesaler they help producer by storing large quantities of raw materials. Now next one is stabilizing prices. Wholesalers check the fluctuation in the price by storing commodities. As such, the price generally remains stabilized, means they usually keep checking the hike and downfall in the price of goods by regularly supplying goods. Again, then next is advertisement. The wholesaler advertise the goods and pay for the advertisement of goods produced by manufacturers. Now sometimes they help the manufacturers by advertising the products of the manufacturer. Then next is easy collection of payment. The producers sell goods to small number of wholesalers from whom it is very easy to realize payment. Means since the producer they have very less number of wholesalers, they can easily collect payment from their wholesalers. It is easy for them to remember each and every wholesaler's due amount. Then next is free from distribution difficulties. The presence of wholesalers save producers from selling goods to very large number of retailers and consumers in small quantities. Since the producer they have wholesaler, they don't have to worry about selling their goods to the retailers as well as to the main consumers. Now let us see next function. Next service is intimating consumers taste and preferences. The wholesalers are among retailers. They collect information about consumers' tastes, likes or dislikes, preferences and attitude from retailers and pass on to the producers. Now since they are working as a middleman between retailer and producer, what they do is that they collect information about the consumers' likes, dislike, taste, preferences, and what they do is that they provide that information to the producer so that producer can produce goods according to the needs of the consumers. Then next is wholesaler services towards retailers. Now first one is credit facilities. Wholesalers generally supply goods to retailers on credit and allow them to make payment afterwards. Means they don't do cash sales, they do credit sales so that the retailers they can pay afterwards. The next one is facility to buy in small quantities. The retailers they don't have that much amount of money to buy in huge quantity from the producer, so what they do is that they used to purchase in small quantities from wholesaler. The next is selection of goods. Wholesalers provide facilities to retailers to select the goods as per their requirement and desire. Means since the retailers they are dealing with wholesalers, they can purchase any goods of their own choice. The next is knowledge of goods. The wholesalers impart knowledge to the retailers about the new products, their uses and merits. Just like when we go to a shop, if we don't know anything about a particular product, we used to ask retailer. In the similar manner, when a retailer goes to a wholesaler for buying any particular product, if he doesn't have proper knowledge about that product, he can gain information from the wholesaler. The next is collection and packing of goods. Now the wholesalers collect goods, make its grading. Means they used to pack in smaller quantities after purchasing in huge amount from the producer, and then they will make small packing or packages and then they will sell it to the retailer so that retailer can sell products easily. Then next is advice to retailers. Wholesalers are more experienced and matured in the business. Since they are wholesalers and they have been doing this function for a long period of time, they have more experience in business field, so sometimes they provide advice to the retailers regarding business situation, future expectation and future opportunities as well as problems. Then lastly, what are the wholesalers services towards their consumers? Let us see. Goods of the taste. Now wholesaler they makes goods of the taste available to the consumer. Whatever consumer needs, wholesaler makes it available in the market as per their needs. The next is availability of goods throughout the year. Since the wholesaler they are bridging gap between producer and the seller, retailer, they make sure that the goods are available in the market throughout the year and there is no scarcity in the market. Then next is stability of price. As we all know that if there is a regular supply of goods in the market, then there will be stability of price as well. Then supply of goods at cheaper rates. The wholesaler purchases goods from producer in large quantities at cheaper rates. Sometimes they used to get huge amount of discount from the producer, sells it to the retailers on marginal profits. Then what they do is that they used to charge very less amount of profit and they will sell it to the retailer. Then the retailer passes goods to the consumer. The goods would have been very costlier for the consumer if he would have purchased it from the producers direct in pieces. Now sometimes the consumer, if they go to purchase goods from the manufacturer itself, it will cost them higher. Okay, it will cost them a lot of amount of money. The next is fresh supply of goods. The inflow and outflow of goods continues from the wholesaler throughout the year. So fresh supply of goods continues and the new products are always available. Since the wholesaler, what they do is that they used to purchase goods regularly from the producer and they used to sell goods regularly to the retailer, so there is always fresh supply of goods in the market. Now this was all about internal trade, that different two types of internal trade, and then we learned a lot about wholesaler, what are their functions, what are their services, and what are their characteristics. Now for this session we will wind up here, and in our next session we will start with the next topic, that is retail trade. So have a nice day. Bye.